I had been living with my son David and his family for 3 years since my husband passed. That Sunday afternoon, I was in the kitchen preparing potato salad for Sophie's graduation party when I heard her laugh echo through the house. It was the kind of laugh that makes grandmothers smile, light, and carefree. She was in the living room with Tyler, her boyfriend of 8 months, going over final details for the celebration we'd planned. Tyler was everything parents dream of for their daughter. Captain of the lacrosse team, headed to Duke on a partial scholarship, polite to a fault. He called me Mrs. Bennett, even though I'd told him a dozen times to call me Linda. My son and daughter-in-law Karen absolutely adored him. "Sophie's so lucky," Karen would say. "Boys like Tyler don't come around often." I wanted to agree. I really did. The party was set for 4 o'clock, and guests would start arriving soon. I'd made my famous potato salad. Karen had ordered a stunning cake decorated in Sophie's school colors, and David was outside setting up tables in the backyard. It was late May, and the weather had finally cooperated after a week of rain. The sun filtered through our oak trees, casting dappled shadows across the lawn. Tyler appeared in the kitchen doorway, all clean-cut charm in his polo shirt and khakis. "Can I help with anything, Mrs. Bennett?" he asked, flashing that winning smile. "I'm fine, dear. Why don't you keep Sophie company?" "She's upstairs changing. I thought I'd see if you needed anything." He moved to the counter where I'd left my phone charging. "Your phone's buzzing. Probably someone confirming they're coming." "Thank you, Tyler." I wiped my hands on my apron and reached for it. That's when I saw Sophie's phone on the counter next to mine. She must have left it when she went upstairs. The screen was lit up with notifications. I wasn't trying to snoop, I swear I wasn't, but the preview of the text was right there, impossible to miss. "Where are you? I told you to stay downstairs." I glanced at Tyler. He was looking at Sophie's phone too, his jaw tight. "She probably didn't hear it," I said carefully. He picked up the phone, his thumb moving across the screen with practiced ease. He knew her passcode. "She needs to keep her phone on her," he muttered. Something in his tone made my stomach clench, but before I could process it, Sophie bounded down the stairs in a beautiful sundress, her dark hair falling in waves past her shoulders. "There you are," Tyler said. His voice transformed completely, warm and affectionate. "I was starting to miss you." He held out her phone. "You left this downstairs." "Oh, thank you." She took it, immediately checking the screen. I watched her face change, just slightly. A flicker of something. Worry, maybe. Before she smiled. "Sorry. I should have told you I was going to change." "It's okay, babe." He kissed her forehead. "You look beautiful." They left the kitchen hand in hand, and I stood there with my potato salad, that uneasy feeling settling deeper into my chest. The party was perfect. 35 people filled our backyard, neighbors and friends and family celebrating Sophie's achievement. She'd been accepted to Northwestern, full scholarship. My husband would have been so proud. I found myself tearing up as David gave a toast, talking about watching his baby girl grow into this remarkable young woman. Tyler stood beside Sophie the whole time, his arm around her waist. The perfect boyfriend, attentive, engaged, laughing at David's jokes. But I couldn't stop watching them. Little things that probably meant nothing. The way his hand tightened on her waist when she talked to her friend Marcus. How she'd glance at her phone every few minutes, then look at Tyler as if checking for his reaction. I was being paranoid. That's what I told myself. I was a widow living with her son's family, probably projecting my loneliness onto their relationship. Tyler was a good kid. Everyone said so. But then I saw it happen again. Sophie's friend Jessica arrived late, apologizing about soccer practice running over. She pulled Sophie aside, and they headed toward the house, giggling about something. I watched Tyler's expression shift. It was subtle, so subtle that no one else seemed to notice. But I'd been married for 42 years. I knew what controlled anger looked like. He followed them inside. I waited maybe 30 seconds before I followed too, ostensibly to get more ice. The girls were in the downstairs bathroom, and I could hear their muffled conversation through the door. Tyler stood in the hallway, his phone out, typing rapidly. "Looking for Sophie?" I asked. He jumped, actually jumped, before recovering with that smile. "Just answering some texts from the guys. They're asking about later tonight." "Oh? Yeah, we're all meeting up at Brad's house. Graduation celebration." He pocketed his phone. "Well, I should get back outside." I went to the kitchen and made a show of getting ice from the freezer. Through the window, I could see Tyler back in the yard, but he kept glancing toward the house. A few minutes later, Sophie and Jessica emerged, Sophie checking her phone again. I saw her face go pale. My grandmother instincts, honed over 6 decades, were screaming now. The party wound down around 7. Guests trickled away with their congratulations and promises to see Sophie before she left for college. Tyler helped clean up, earning more praise from Karen. "Such a thoughtful young man," she said, watching him carry folding chairs to the garage. "Karen," I started, then stopped. What would I say? Your daughter's boyfriend looked angry when she talked to a friend? He sends a lot of texts? What is it, Linda? Nothing. I'm just tired. Sophie and Tyler left around 8 to meet friends. I watched them walk to Tyler's car, a brand new BMW his parents had given him for graduation. He opened her door for her. The perfect gentleman. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about that text. "Where are you? I told you to stay downstairs." The commanding tone. The assumption that he could tell her where to be. At 2 in the morning, I finally admitted to myself what I'd been avoiding. I'd seen this before, not with my husband, thank God, but my younger sister, Anne. She dated a boy in college who seemed wonderful until he wasn't. It started with little things. Jealousy framed as caring, control disguised as concern. By the time we realized what was happening, Anne was isolated, depressed, convinced she couldn't do better. We got her out eventually, but it took years for her to recover. I couldn't let that happen to Sophie. The next morning, I found her in the kitchen making coffee, still in her pajamas. She looked tired. "Late night?" I asked, keeping my tone light. "Yeah, we were out until midnight." She poured coffee, her movements mechanical. "Did you have fun?" "Sure, you know." Same group, same conversations. She attempted a smile that didn't reach her eyes. I took a breath. "Sophie, honey, can I ask you something?" She looked up, guarded. "What? Are you happy? With Tyler?" The question hung in the air. She stared into her coffee cup. "Of course I am. Tyler's great. Everyone says so." I didn't ask what everyone says. I asked if you're happy. Her eyes filled with tears, and my heart broke. "Grandma, Her phone buzzed. She grabbed it immediately, read the message, and the tears disappeared, replaced by something that looked like fear. "I have to go. Tyler's picking me up. It's 8 in the morning. We're going to breakfast." She was already moving toward the stairs. "Sophie, I really have to go, Grandma. I'll be back later." I heard her rush upstairs, heard the shower turn on. 20 minutes later, she came down dressed and made up, that practiced smile back in place. Tyler's BMW pulled into the driveway. Through the window, I watched her get in, watched him lean over and check her phone before kissing her, watched her shrink into herself just a little bit. That's when I knew I wasn't imagining things. I waited until David and Karen left for work. Then I did something I'm not proud of. I went into Sophie's room. It was neat, organized, typical Sophie. Her Northwestern acceptance letter was framed on the wall. Photos of friends covered her bulletin board. I sat on her bed, feeling like an intruder, trying to figure out what I was even looking for. Then I saw her laptop, partially hidden under a stack of textbooks. I opened it. It wasn't locked. Her email was open. I scrolled through, my unease growing with each message. Northwestern Housing had reached out 3 times asking Sophie to confirm her dormitory preferences. She hadn't responded. There were emails from the scholarship office, from her future advisor, all unopened. But there were other emails. From Tyler. I clicked on the most recent thread, my hands trembling. "I've been thinking about Northwestern," Tyler had written 2 weeks ago. "It's so far away. Duke and Northwestern are in completely different directions. Have you considered taking a gap year? We could both stay local, work, save money. Then, maybe transfer somewhere together next year?" Sophie's response. "But I've already accepted the scholarship, and I've always wanted to go to Northwestern." Tyler's reply. "I know, babe. I'm just saying, relationships take work. Long distance hardly ever works out. I don't want to lose you. Don't you think what we have is worth some sacrifice? I'm willing to sacrifice for us. Are you?" The emails went on. Tyler, always reasonable, always framing it as caring. Sophie, slowly being worn down. The most recent email, from yesterday, made me feel sick. I talked to my dad, Tyler had written. He can get you a job at his firm. Administrative work? Good pay. You could defer Northwestern for a year. We could get an apartment together. Think about it, Sophie. We could start our real life together. Isn't that what you want? Sophie hadn't responded yet. I sat there, my husband's wedding ring still on my finger after 3 years, thinking about the promises we make and the ones we should never have to keep. Sophie was 18 years old. She had a full scholarship to one of the best schools in the country. And Tyler, with his smile and his manners and his BMW, was trying to clip her wings before she'd even learned to fly. I couldn't just tell David and Karen. They'd want proof, want to talk to Sophie, want to handle it as a family. And Tyler would find out. He'd convince them he was just a boy in love. He'd convince Sophie that I was a meddling old woman who didn't understand their relationship. No, I needed to talk to Sophie first. Alone. Really alone. My opportunity came that Wednesday. Karen mentioned she and David were attending a work dinner. They'd be gone from 6 until at least 10. Sophie had planned to spend the evening with Tyler, as usual, but I had an idea. Sophie, I said that afternoon, would you mind running to the store with me around 6? I need to pick up some things for dinner, and I'd love the company. She hesitated, glancing at her phone. I'm supposed to see Tyler. It'll just be an hour. You can text him. I watched her internal struggle play out. Finally, she nodded. Okay, Grandma. Let me tell him. The text she sent was carefully worded. I could see her typing and deleting. Tyler, my grandma needs help with shopping. Is it okay if I go with her for a bit? I'll text you when I'm done. She showed me the message before sending it. Showed me, as if she needed his approval. His response came within seconds. I guess. But not too long. I wanted to talk to you about something important tonight. At 6:15, we were in my car, heading toward the grocery store. I drove slowly, trying to find the right words. Grandma, you're going the wrong way, Sophie said. The store is... I know, honey. We're not going to the store. She looked at me, confused, and a little scared. What? Grandma, I told Tyler I was going shopping. He's going to... Sophie. I pulled into the parking lot of a small park, the same park where I'd brought David when he was little. I put the car in park and turned to face my granddaughter. I need to talk to you, and I need you to really listen to me. Can you do that? I don't understand. How many times a day do you check your phone? The question caught her off guard. What? How many times? Guess. I don't know. Normal amount? Is it normal to need someone's permission to go shopping with your grandmother? Is it normal to be afraid of going more than an hour without texting someone back? Her face crumbled. You don't understand. Tyler he cares about me. He worries. I saw your emails, Sophie. I saw the ones about Northwestern. She went pale. You went through my laptop? I did, and I'm sorry for invading your privacy. But I'm not sorry for what I found, because now I know I'm not imagining things. I reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. Honey, you have worked so hard for that scholarship. Northwestern has been your dream since you were 15. And Tyler is trying to take that away from you. He's not taking it away. He just wants us to be together. Is that so wrong? It is when it means you give up your dreams and he gives up nothing. He's willing to sacrifice too. What is he sacrificing, Sophie? Really? He's going to Duke. He's going to play lacrosse. He's going to live his life exactly as planned. What he's asking is for you to stay here, work at his father's firm, wait for him. Do you know what you'll be in a year if you do that? She was crying now. What? Trapped. And by the time you realize it, you'll have missed your chance at Northwestern. The scholarship won't wait. And Tyler? I squeezed her hand. Tyler will find a new girl at Duke, someone who doesn't challenge him or have her own ambitions. But you, my sweet girl, you'll be stuck here, wondering what you gave up for a boy who couldn't let you shine. He loves me. Maybe he does, in his own way. But love shouldn't feel like a cage, Sophie. It shouldn't require you to check in constantly or ask permission to see your friends. It shouldn't make you anxious every time your phone buzzes. She sobbed, and I pulled her into my arms, this young woman who was still so much a child. I see it, baby. I see how you change when he's around, how you make yourself smaller, how you apologize for things that don't need apologies, how you stopped talking about Northwestern around him. I didn't want to make him feel bad. And what about you? What about your feelings? I don't know anymore. Her voice was so small. I don't know what I feel. When I'm with him, I just try to make sure he's happy. Because when he's happy, everything's okay. But when he's upset, she trailed off. When he's upset, what happens? He doesn't yell or anything. He gets quiet, disappointed. And I feel like I've done something terrible. So I fix it. I do what he wants. My heart was breaking. That's not love, Sophie. That's control. But everyone loves him. Mom and Dad think he's perfect. All my friends think I'm so lucky. What if they're right and I'm wrong? You're not wrong. Your gut is telling you something isn't right. That's why you're exhausted all the time. That's why you cry when you think no one's watching. That's why you haven't confirmed your housing at Northwestern. I pulled back to look at her. You know what you need to do. You're just scared to do it. She wiped her eyes. He's not going to just let me go. The words chilled me. Let you go? Sophie, you don't need his permission to break up with him. You don't understand. He's going to tell everyone I'm crazy, that I led him on. He'll make me look. Her phone started ringing. Tyler's name flashed across the screen. Sophie's hand shook as she reached for it. Don't, I said. I have to. He's calling. No, honey. You don't have to. The phone rang and rang. Finally, it stopped. Seconds later, it started again. He knows something's wrong, Sophie whispered. He always knows. Because you've taught him that you'll always answer, that you'll always explain yourself. I covered her phone with my hand. What would happen if you just didn't? Grandma, what's the worst thing that happens? Really? He gets angry? He tells people you're mean? Those are his choices, his reactions. You can't control what he does, but you can control what you do. The phone stopped ringing. A text came through. Then another, and another. Sophie stared at the screen. He wants to know where I am. He's asking if I'm okay. He's saying he's worried, and if I don't answer in 5 minutes, he's going to call my parents. And that scares you. Of course it does. Why? What are you afraid of, Sophie? She thought about it, really thought about it. I'm afraid of him being angry. I'm afraid of disappointing everyone. I'm afraid. She took a shaky breath. I'm afraid he's going to show up at the house. He knows where we live. There it was, the fear underneath everything else. Has he ever hurt you physically? No, never. But sometimes, when he's really upset, he drives really fast, or he punches walls, and then he apologizes and says, I just make him feel so much that he can't control it, that I'm the only person who makes him feel this way. I'd heard that before too, from Anne's ex-boyfriend. It's your fault I act this way. You make me crazy. Listen to me very carefully, I said. Tyler's emotions are not your responsibility. If he drives fast, that's his choice. If he punches walls, that's his choice. You are not making him do anything. He's choosing to behave that way to control you, to keep you scared and compliant. I want to go to Northwestern, she whispered. I want to go so badly, but I'm terrified. I know you are. But I'm here, and I'm going to help you. We sat in that parking lot for another hour, making a plan. First, Sophie would send one text to Tyler. I need some space to think. I'll contact you when I'm ready. Then she would block his number. We'd tell David and Karen tonight, together. I'd help her confirm her housing at Northwestern and respond to all those emails. And if Tyler showed up at the house, I'd be the one to answer the door. What if everyone thinks I'm making a mistake? Sophie asked. Then they think you're making a mistake. But it's your mistake to make. Your life to live. Not mine. Not your parents. Not Tyler's. I smiled at her. Besides, I don't think it's a mistake at all. I think you're being braver than you've ever been. She typed the text with trembling fingers, showed it to me. I nodded. She sent it. Then she blocked his number. The relief on her face was immediate and heartbreaking. I did it, she said, like she couldn't believe it. You did it. Her phone started buzzing with calls from numbers she didn't recognize. Tyler, using his friends' phones. We turned it off. That night, we told David and Karen everything. They were shocked, defensive at first. Tyler's always been so polite, Karen kept saying. But when Sophie showed them the emails, when she explained how she felt, I watched understanding dawn on their faces. "Why didn't you tell us?" David asked, his voice rough with emotion. "Because you liked him so much. Because I thought maybe I was overreacting. Because I didn't want to disappoint you." Karen pulled Sophie into her arms, crying, "You could never disappoint us. Never. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry we didn't see it." The next few weeks were hard. Tyler showed up at the house twice. The first time, David answered the door and told him firmly that Sophie didn't want to see him and he needed to respect that. Tyler cried, said he didn't understand what he'd done wrong, that he just wanted to talk to her. "She's made her decision," David said, and closed the door. The second time, Tyler was angry. He demanded to see Sophie, said she was making a huge mistake, that he'd done everything for her and this was how she repaid him. This time, I answered the door. "Tyler," I said calmly, "I'm going to say this once. Sophie doesn't want to contact you. If you come back here again, we'll involve the police. Do you understand?" He stared at me with such hatred that I actually stepped back. But then his expression shifted, became pleading. "Mrs. Bennett, please. I love her. Just let me talk to her." "No, it's time for you to go." He left, tires squealing as he drove away. We didn't see him again after that, though we heard he'd told everyone at school that Sophie had cheated on him. Some people believed it. Sophie lost a few friends who thought she was cruel for breaking up with him so close to graduation. But she also found out who her real friends were. And more importantly, she found herself again. I'll never forget the day we dropped her off at Northwestern. She stood in front of her dorm building, her eyes bright with excitement and nervousness, looking exactly like she should. Young and free and full of possibility. "Thank you, Grandma," she said, hugging me tight. "For seeing what I couldn't see. For helping me be brave." "You were always brave," I told her. "You just needed someone to remind you." She's a sophomore now, thriving in her pre-med program. She has friends, real friends who support her. She's dated a few people, nothing serious yet. Sometimes she calls me late at night, just to talk, and I can hear the happiness in her voice. David asked me once if I regretted snooping through Sophie's laptop that day. "No," I told him. "I'd do it again in a heartbeat." Because sometimes love means invading privacy. Sometimes it means being the villain in someone else's story. Sometimes it means trusting your instincts even when everyone else thinks you're wrong. And sometimes it means sitting in a parking lot with your granddaughter, watching her send the scariest text of her life, and knowing that she's about to get her whole future back. I still have the thank you card Sophie sent me from Northwestern that first semester. She'd written, "Grandma, you taught me that the people who truly love us want us to fly, not stay in cages. Thank you for giving me my wings." I keep it on my nightstand, next to the photo of my husband. He would have been proud of her. And I think, maybe he would have been proud of me too. Because in the end, that's what grandmothers are for. Not just for baking cookies and giving birthday money, but for standing up when someone you love is losing themselves. For being the safe place when the world feels dangerous. For knowing when to hold on tight and when to help someone find the courage to let go. Sophie is free now. And every time I see her smile in her photos from school, every time I hear the confidence in her voice, I know that parking lot conversation was worth every uncomfortable moment that followed. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is help someone else be brave. And sometimes the greatest gift you can give is simply seeing someone when they feel invisible. I saw Sophie, and thank God I did.